Good morning, and what a morning to say good morning on to all of you, to these blossoms, these flowers, this beauty, and just greetings to everyone. Thank you for bringing flowers, and most of them are up here, and if you haven't had a chance to put it there, it's fine. You can bring it up later when we all take one. I'd like to just take a moment to remind you to silence your cell phones. If they're not quiet already, they're a little disruptive to the flowers. And I'd also like you to take a moment right now to greet your neighbors, and perhaps there's someone next to you you've never said hello to, and find that person if you can. So, good morning. I hold these black oak acorns in honor of the Nisenan, the native people who originally inhabited the land on which we're worshiping today and which we stand. I also hold them in recognition that a huge uprising and surge in community support is helping them to return to one of their native sites, and for all that have helped along their way and for the continued support they will need in this endeavor.
I think we jumped ahead a little bit. Rain is going to read our chalice lighting for the morning.
Honoring Our Common Connection and Our Uniqueness by Adam Slate. We gather this morning as one community, a community united by common ideals: love, justice, diversity, freedom, mutual care, equity. Yet look around. Look at the faces around you. Each face represents an individual, every one of us with our own story, needs, strengths, and faults. We light our chalice today, honoring our common connection and also the uniqueness that lives within each of us.
I will light the chalice and then we'll sing the children up. Boy, they don't even seem tired, do they? For those of you who were here for the wonderful concert last night, Toby and Kate did themselves proud, and this morning we also have the talents of Tom Wernig and a special visit from a harpist, Anne Merdinger. So we are in for a treat this morning. So, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of the mountains. I'm Cheryl Morris, and I'm sorry to say Sophia is ill this morning. So two wonderful worship associates, Carol and Gail, came to my rescue. And on very short notice, we've rearranged some elements of the service and heartfelt appreciation. And it's a beautiful day. Perfect backdrop for several occasions we're observing today. First and foremost is the Flower Ceremony, which I'll say a little bit more about later. But it's also Mother's Day, a day which evokes various emotions for many of us. It's also the 63rd anniversary of the founding of the Unitarian Universalist Association. That's an event that probably doesn't stir up much ambivalence anymore. But Kevin spoke last week about some of the differences between the two denominations and how hard they had to work to merge two diverse traditions into one. And here we are, a strong community, ready to share a special service today. And it really is a special one. I bet most of you don't know that our very own Kate Cannon, together with the Reverend Suzelle Lynch and Ruben Peranen, created a song cycle with accompanying readings. It's titled Beauty Calls Us Together. And they wrote it last year to honor the 100th anniversary of the Flower Ceremony. It wasn't finished in time for us to use it then, but we're thrilled to present some excerpts from it today. We hope to present the whole very moving, very powerful work next year. The Flower Ceremony was started in 1923 by the Reverend Dr. Norbert Čapek of the, this is a mouthful too, Congregation of Liberal Religious Fellowship in Prague, Czechoslovakia. It was designed to celebrate beauty, human uniqueness, diversity, and community. Čapek's church thrived and celebrated the Flower Ceremony every year until Czechoslovakia was invaded by Germany in 1939, causing great hardship. Later that year, his wife came to the United States to raise money for war refugees. She introduced the Flower Ceremony to the Unitarian Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it quickly spread to other congregations. Norbert Čapek stayed behind in Czechoslovakia to help his people. He nurtured their spirits with his message of their inherent worth. But the Nazis found his message dangerous and arrested him for treason in 1941. He was sent to Dresden prison and then to the concentration camp at Dachau. Čapek kept his spirits strong, writing many hymns that have survived, but he was put to death a year later. His message and the tradition of the Flower Ceremony is as relevant today as it was 100 years ago. Today we celebrate it with original music and words from Beauty Calls Us Together. Again, a special thank you to our musicians this morning. Welcome to all who are here in person or with us on Zoom this morning. Your presence, your uniqueness is like the flowers on the altar, the individual blooms creating a beautiful whole. I am so glad you're here. Please rise in body or in spirit. Join in singing Mother Spirit, Father Spirit. Both the words and the music were by Norbert Chopik.
Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, where are you? In the sky, so in the forest, sound your cry. What to give you, what to call you, what am I? Many drops are in the ocean, deep and wide. Sunlight bounces off the ripples to the sky. What to give you, what to call you, who am I? I am empty, time flies from me. What is time? Dreams eternal, fears infernal, haunt my heart. What to give you, what to call you, oh my God. Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, take our hearts. Take our breath and let our voices sing our parts. Take our hands and let us work to shape our heart.
I just, again, want to really thank Gail, who on about half an hour's notice pulled this together for us.
Good morning. The last time I got a chance to do this, it was Winnie the Pooh. I don't know if any of you remember, but this is not going to be the same, and I will do my very best. So I've called this reflection on flowers and mothers, because the theme of the flower ceremony, this cultivating of blossoms, of blooms, symbolizing our differences and how they enrich us and remind us that we can and must work to shift our world toward greater peace, equity, sustainability, and justice, that we can and must help liberate others. It's no accident that we are holding this ceremony on Mother's Day. The theme of the flower ceremony is on Mother's Day. The theme of the flower ceremony is very serious, and the same non-trivial theme of the original Mother's Day. Some of us read Heather Cox Richardson. Any of you read it this morning? So I'm going to use her words, her perspective on Mother's Day. It's potent, even jarring. In this day and age, it is perhaps important, maybe even a need, that we stay awake, these jarring words, to stay awake. They'll give us hope. They remind us that we can make a difference. I share her words now. She says, Mother's Day, as we know it today, actually started in the 1870s, when the sheer enormity of death caused by the Civil War And the Franco-Prussian War convinced writer and reformer Julia Ward Howe that women must take control of politics from the men who had permitted such carnage. Mother's Day was not designed to encourage people to be nice to their mothers. It was part of women's effort to gain power in the society. The Civil War taught naive Americans what mass death meant in that modern era. Soldiers who had marched off to war with fantasies of heroism discovered that newly invented long-range missiles turned death into tortured anonymity. Men were trampled. They were piled in ditches. They withered after dysentery drained their life force away. The women had watched their hale and healthy men march off to war. They lost fathers, husbands, sons, and brothers. The men who did come back were scarred in both body and mind. Modern war, it seemed, was not a game. But out of the war also came a new sense of empowerment. Women had bought bonds, paid taxes, raised money for the war effort, managed farms, harvested fields, worked in the war industries, reared children, nursed soldiers. When the war ended, they had every expectation that they would continue to be considered valuable participants in national affairs and had every intention of continuing to take part in them. But the 14th Amendment, which established that Black men were citizens, did not explicitly include women in that right. Worse, it introduced the word male into the Constitution when it warned states against preventing male inhabitants from voting. In 1869, the year after the 14th Amendment was added to the Constitution, women organized into two organizations, the National Women's Suffrage Association and the American Women's Suffrage Association, to promote a woman's right to have a say in the American government. From her home in Boston, Julia Ward Howe was a key figure in the American Women's Suffrage Association. She was the enormously talented writer who in the early years of the Civil War had penned the Battle Hymn of the Republic, a hymn whose lyrics made a point to note that Christ was born of women. Howe was drawn to women's rights because the laws of her time meant that her children belonged to her abusive husband. If she broke free of him, she would lose any right to see her children again. A fact that he threw at her every time she threatened to leave. She was not at first a radical in the mode of reformer Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who believed that women had human right equally with men. Rather, she believed strongly that women, as mothers, had a special role to perform in the world. For Howe, the Civil War had been traumatic, but that it led to emancipation might justify its terrible bloodshed. The outbreak of the Franco-Prussian War in 1870 was another story. She remembered, quote, "I was visited by a sudden feeling of cruel and unnecessary character of that contest. It seemed to me a return to barbarism, the issue having been one which might easily have been settled without bloodshed." The question forced itself on me, why do not mothers of mankind interfere in these matters to prevent the waste of human life, of which they alone know and bear the cost. Howe had a new vision. She said of the august dignity of motherhood and its terrible responsibilities. She sat down and immediately wrote an appeal to womanhood throughout the world. Men, she said, quote, men had always had and always would decide questions by resorting to mutual murder. But women did not have to accept the proceedings with which fill the globe with grief and horror. Mothers, she said, could command their sons who owe their life to her suffering to stop the madness. Arise, women, said Howe, say firmly, quote, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn that which we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, women of one country, will be too tender of those women of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. Howe had her document translated into French, Spanish, Italian, German, and Swedish, and distributed widely as her extensive contacts made possible. She believed that her women's peace movement would be the next great development in human history, ending war, just as the anti-slavery movement had ended human bondage. She called for a festival which could be called Mother's Day, and which would be devoted to the advocacy of peace doctrines. As Howe worked to unite women, she came to realize that women did not have to center their lives around a man, but rather should be, quote, a free agent, fully sharing with man every human right and responsibility. This discovery was like the addition of a new continent to the map of the world, she later said, or a New Testament to old ordinances. She threw herself into the struggle for women's suffrage, understanding that in order to create a more just and peaceful society, women must take up their rightful place as equal participants in American politics. As we celebrate the modern version of Mother's Day on May 12th, this very day, in this momentous year of 2024, it is worth remembering the original Mother's Day and Julia Ward Howe's conviction that women must have the same rights as men and they must make their voices heard. And so as you participate in this flower ceremony and you take a flower, hold it to your heart to remember the real meaning of Mother's Day and your role to support that.
Thank you, Gail. That's lovely. I'd like to read the words of Norbert Chopek, a prayer that he wrote, followed by Toby singing also Norbert Chopek's words. In a moment for you to take deeply what he brought to us and what he tried to say through his words, vocally spoken and through music. In the name of Providence, which implants in the seed the future of the tree, and in the hearts of people for longing for people living together in human love. In the name of sages and great religious leaders who sacrificed their lives to hasten the coming of peace and justice, let us renew our resolution that can bar anything which estranges us from one another. In this holy resolution, may we be strengthened, knowing that we are one family, one spirit. Spirit of love, unite us and endeavor for a more perfect and more joyful life together.
In the depths of my soul, there where lies the source of strength, where divine and human meet. There quiet your mind, quiet. Outside let lightning rain, horrible darkness frighten the world. But from the depths of your own soul, from that silence will rise again the flower of God. Return to yourself, rest in yourself, live in the depths of your soul, where divine and human meet. Turn your heart to the eternal, and in the depths of your own soul, your breathing quiets down. Quiet, quiet, where divine and human meet, there is your
Maybe we just need to sit with that for a minute before we shift gears a little bit. The next song we're going to all sing, and it's also from Beauty Calls Us Together. The introduction is from the Reverend Suzelle Lynch, part of the whole cantata. A great many Unitarian Universalist congregations celebrate the Flower Ceremony, also known as the Flower Communion. We love the way it brings Earth's colorful beauty into our midst, and it reminds us of the power of working together despite all the forces that conspire to divide us. We love to observe each other's faces as each chooses a flower, especially the faces of children. We remember that just as each flower is unique, so is each person's life unique and worthy. Together, the flowers form a bouquet that would not be as beautiful as it is if even one flower were left out. We know that that's how it is with our community too. Each and every one of us is part of our community's beauty and purpose. Each and every one of us is valued and respected. In addition, the flower ceremony reminds us that we can and we must work to shift our world toward greater peace, equity, sustainability, and justice, that we can and we must help liberate others. The song, You Bring an Aster, is a hymn that brings to life the messages and meanings of the flower ceremony with a simple, upbeat melody. Everybody rise as you're able. And now, the flower ceremony. Most of you know this. I invite you to come up, take a flower, typically not the one you brought. Take a flower, and we'll do it like we do joys and sorrows. Please come up the middle and return down the sides. Each week, we take an offering which supports the work of this church, as well as that of a nonprofit that shares our values. This month, our community partner is Care Crisis Nursery. It's a welcoming, home-like setting in a quiet neighborhood with a very dedicated staff that works with families experiencing a crisis, providing short-term care for the children and support and assistance to the parents. They also offer a safe, neutral space for visits between children in foster care and their parents who are receiving services of all kinds and working toward regaining custody of their children once they're able to provide a safe home. 25% of your offering will go to Care Crisis Nursery. If you'd like 100% of your giving to support it, if you're here in the room, you can put your offering in the white envelope in the basket, whether in the room or on the Zoom. Please see the slide for other ways to give. And Tom is going to offer our offertory music this morning.
Well, the right hates the left and the left hates the right. If you want to speak your mind, you gotta stand up and fight. Yeah, but most of us are in the same boat, and the rain's falling down from above. Oh, we can all find a common ground if we do it with love. I do it with love. Do it with love. You could soar like a hawk, but you could still coo like a dove. It don't matter if you're right or wrong. It don't matter who's in charge. We can always find the way to shore if we do it with love. When you left, I was madder than hell, gunning for you. I had myself convinced you were just plain cruel. I kept trying to get you in the ring, but you refused to put on the gloves. With time I learned to forgive. You did it with love. Do it with love. Do it with love. It takes more to be a man than a push and a shove. It takes two to start a war, but only one to say that's enough. You can tell her what you really need if you do it with love. Oh, and love doesn't mean that you never have to say you're sorry. Oh, and love doesn't mean that you're never gonna mess up. Yeah, when we went to war in the 90s, I said no. Oh, then we went to war again with the same old foe. Yeah, when election time comes around, everybody's gotta act real tough. But we can find a better way if we do it with love. Do it with love. Do it with love. It's hard to wave a flag when it's covered in blood. There's an ending to it. Wait, hold on. Hard to wave a flag when you do it with love. Oh yeah. There's always someone to make us afraid, whether commie or common thug. But we can find a way to peace if we do it with love. Yeah, let's walk the path of peace. Let's do it with love.
Thank you for your compassion and your generosity. We dedicate this offering to the well-being of all, especially those who are struggling to find a healthy life for themselves and their families. Oh, yes, many people to thank. Gail and Carol, wonderful. Let's see, the musicians, of course, Toby and Kate and Tom and Ann, just beautiful music. Andy and Cypress in the back, Eileen online, Shanti for another beautiful Mother's Day offering. The greeters, Katz and Carl and Gwen, and Beth for refreshments, Lindsay and Linda upstairs. And all of you for helping us shift gears and make it a lovely, heartfelt service together. Thank you. Okay, so today, Reverend Kevin, even if it's supposed to be his day off, from noon to 2 is doing UU values, so stick around for that. The book group, I'm remembering to say, has been canceled for today because Susan is ill. UU Values Retreat, again with Reverend Kevin and more chance to dig into our values. Please RSVP for that. Postcard writing party, Monday, May 13th. So take the words we heard today and get those postcards written. Women's Circle, shifting gears once again. It's going to be improv for those of us who are very spontaneous and don't need a script, really, honest. Yeah, that wouldn't be me. But I'm going to go because it's really fun. So if you haven't been to the women's group, I encourage you. Building and Grounds this Saturday. And of course, much more on our website. Many more upcoming events with this busy congregation. So our closing song, yes, we're going to think about our UU values. We're going to take to heart the words about it's not just enough to celebrate our community. We need to take it out into the world as well. So please rise as you're able and join in the fire of commitment.
Closing words by Reverend Suzelle Lynch. We are one. We are free. We are here.
Much has changed in the 100 years since the first flower ceremony, but our commitment to the values it embodies grows ever stronger as we continue to share a faith that fiercely and gently calls forth beauty and kinship in easy times and times of heartrending challenge.
As we Unitarian Universalists work to dismantle our culture of oppression and exclusion, learn to truly embrace a multiplicity of cultural worldviews, and shift our historical center to follow powerful new leadership by those whose voices have been suppressed for too long, we make real the bold vision of Norbert and Maya Schapke and the Flower Ceremony.
Their spirit, courage, and commitment live on in us. May we ever remember our continuity with those who struggled generation after generation for peace and justice and liberty.
As we share our flowers, may we always remember the abiding beauty that calls us together and calls us to ever greater justice and greater love.
And now, please join in saying our community benediction. Let us
Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
thank you all. See you next week for Peace, Harmony, and the Snooze Button.
And enjoy refreshments.
And join us in the back for refreshments.